This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. So I don't often do this, but this is part 2 of, I guess, a 2-part series. If you haven't watched the first part, this video is about Blake Neff, who was Tucker Carlson's head writer, who got caught writing under a pseudonym on an online forum using racial, disgusting language, just racist bullshit. And he quit his job. Fox News gleefully, I think they said swiftly, accepted his resignation. They didn't fire him. He had to quit. Anyway, go watch the first part of this if you want to get the whole breakdown. This video is addressing Tucker Carlson's statement last night on the air, in which he downplayed in remarkable fashion all the horrible things that his top writer and pal did online, much of which was funneled into the programming of Fox News, which we'll get to. So anyway, first we're going to play, I broke up his 1 minute and 18-second statement into 2 parts. Let's get to part 1 of Intellectual Toilet Brush, Tucker Carlson downplaying racism.
Over the weekend, you may have seen stories about a writer on this show called Blake Neff. For years, since he was in college, Blake posted anonymously on an internet message board for law school students. On Friday, many of those posts became public. Blake was horrified by the story and he was ashamed. Friday afternoon, he resigned from his job. We want to say a couple of things about this. First, what Blake wrote anonymously was wrong. We don't endorse those words. They have no connection to the show.
So poor Blake Neff was horrified by the story. I think what you mean to say there, Tucker, is that Blake Neff was horrified that he got caught. This was of his own doing. No one forced his hand or his keys, as it were. He wrote what he wrote. He wrote what he believes. The racist trash that he wrote. And then you claiming that there was no connection, nothing that he wrote was connected to the show in any way. This flies in the face of the many, many instances of things that he wrote in this online forum that ended up on your show, coming out of that stinky Swanson frozen food hole that resides under your nose, you dipshit. I'm not going to read them all here because I only have so much time, but the link to the CNN article that documents all of it will be in the description of this particular video. Tucker. Let's get to part 2, where it actually gets even worse.
It is wrong to attack people for qualities they cannot control. In this country, we judge people for what they do, not for how they were born. We often say that because we mean it. We'll continue to defend that principle, often alone among national news programs, because it is essential. Nothing is more important. Blake fell short of that standard, and he has paid a very heavy price for it. But we should also point out to the ghouls now beating their chests in triumph at the destruction of a young man that self-righteousness also has its costs. We are all human. When we pretend we are holy, we are lying. When we pose as blameless in order to hurt other people, we are committing the gravest sin of all, and we will be punished for it. There's no question.
So according to the pencil neck haircut, Tucker Carlson, his pal and top writer, former top writer Blake Neff, paid a very, very heavy price for his actions. He's acting as though Blake Neff is the victim here. The price that he paid is appropriate. You don't get to have a position of power of informing the American people while being a virulent white supremacist, a racist, a misogynist, who targets women he's connected to on social media and has his devotees in the forum harass them. That is the kind of things that Blake Neff did. And as far as the self-righteous ghouls beating their chests in triumph of the destruction of this young man, one, he's in his 30s, you goddamn clown. I'd been out of the Marine Corps for a decade when I was Blake Neff's age. He's a man. He's responsible for his actions. He is responsible for the things that he wrote. He is responsible for the things that he believes. He destroyed himself. And as far as your leveling threats that no one is holy, no one is blameless, I'm not holy. I'm not blameless. I'm assuming I am among those self-righteous ghouls beating their chest in triumph of this destruction of this guy. I've made tens of thousands of mistakes, some horrific in my life, none of which involve the denigrating of human rights of people, racism, homophobia, wild anti-gay rhetoric, white supremacy. It's not like he didn't post a dick pic online, Tucker. It's not an indiscretion of youth. He is indoctrinating people to believe that white people are better than black people, that black people are somehow subservient and less than. It's not an oopsie, it's white supremacy, you fucking idiot. Quit downplaying racism. Who is it that downplays racism in our society? It's white supremacists. It's racists. They don't take it seriously. They're the ones who deny that white supremacy even exists. And let me tell you, if you think your threats are going to sway me or any of the other people that are on a mission to out white supremacists and haters, you got another thing coming. You will be the one who is punished. You will be the one who is judged, Tucker. And then lastly, there was a moment in my video yesterday where I talked about how Fox News is the only network that has to go through this kind of crap. That Fox News constantly has to send their anchors off on planned vacations because of controversy. Well, guess what happened? Well, first, let me play a very brief section from my video yesterday where I pretty much predicted what happened. Listen, no other network has a problem like this. No other network has to apologize so much. No other network than Fox News has to send their anchors off on vacation, emergency vacations, because of the vile and reprehensible racist things that they say. How many times did O'Reilly go on vacation unannounced? How many times has Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham had to bail out because sponsors were evaporating right before their eyes? And like clockwork, Tucker Carlson announced last night his long-planned vacation to go catch some fish because his sponsors are going to be dropping like flies. I watched most of his program last night. Ace Hardware being the largest sponsor. I wouldn't do business with Ace now for any money in the world. Some pharma company, Embark Dog DNA. Really, it's the bottom of the barrel. Some local ads for some local restaurants. I'm going to compile a list. I'll either put it in my community tab on YouTube or I'll do a separate video about it, but the pressure needs to be put on to these advertisers to stop sponsoring content that is based in white supremacy, that is endorsed by the former Grand Wizard of the KKK, David Duke, that is endorsed by Richard Spencer, the owner of the face seen punched round the world. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think. That's the wrong number. That's for my podcast. 714-576-4054. You can email me daily at dollemore.com. I would love to hear from you, especially on this topic. And if you disagree, I'd especially like to hear. The other thing, if you are in a position to, not if you have to budget it in or make it work somehow, but if you are in a financial position to become a channel member and help support my work here on YouTube, I would greatly appreciate you just considering it. For fewer than $2 a month, you can click the join button there. And a little bit, if I'm able to marshal the size of my audience, which is now just over 200,000 subscribers, I would be completely unencumbered by YouTube's seemingly arbitrary rules from week to week and month to month. And I could just do the kind of content that I want to do without worry. So I appreciate you guys. I love you. Thank you for engaging with my content and allowing me to think in public. It's a blessing, and I'm very lucky, and I know that I am. I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.